So I just love my wife. This morning, I don't know, you might get this. I'm not sure if you get this thing, but sometimes you just like wake up in either in the middle of the night or, in the morning, and I feel worried, right? I feel like, ugh. Um, and I was thinking about the world, and I was like, man, the world's going to shit. It's going to hell, right? Um, and I just sort of thinking about the upcoming year, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to deal with. So it's an election year in the United States, and man, it just feels like there's all these things going on around the world. And my wife's like, I'm not worried about it. Um, And I just love that because it grounds you. Like, I want you to think about at any given time in history, at absolutely any given time in history, um, the world is very fragile, right? Like, there's many moments where it could just implode on itself at any given moment, right? Like any given year, um, things could just go worry, right? Like it is extremely fragile where it just takes one particular sort of course of events to happen, then all of a sudden the world implodes on itself and you're like, what the hell? And I want you to sort of remember that, both the sort of fragile nature of the world and to sort of worry about it, but at the same time, like, let's come back to reality, where we actually are, center ourselves. Yes, I worry about things, but on the flip side, um, we're still living, we're still kicking, right? Like, I am living longer today, on average across the world, and I realize that there's shitty things that are happening around the world. Um, But on average, most of us are living longer than we used to. I want you to like do this as an exercise. Go and look at any country 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago. Well, I guess it's 70 years ago now. You look at the 1950s, even the 1960s, you start picking at countries, and you will be amazed how short people used to live at that point. And it's a good exercise. And then I also want you to look at like how much money they made. I want you to look at any number of different things, access to healthcare, um, availability of an existing technology, right? Like, I want you to think about any of those particular things and realize, like, yeah, maybe it's not so bad today. Like, what the hell, right? Like, what are we talking about here? It's not so bad. And to calm down and realize, yes, at any given moment, all of this can go away, right? Like, there's shitty people out there that want that to happen. Um, but on the other side, um, we have to sort of just no other words for me. I'm not an especially religious person, but with the grace of God, um, just know that things can change. We're lucky, we're fortunate. Um, at any given moment, you know, having access to food and water is a modern day phenomenon. And there's still people in this world, there's getting less and less, like remarkably less and less around the world, that don't have access to food and water. And I want you to really think about that. Like, there was whole continents, a few years ago, a few decades ago, that were literally starving to death. And you pick the continent other than a few modern places, and people were starving to death. Um, and I want you, and I realize that there's still some of that going on. There's still like severe poverty, and that's a long run play. but a lot of people have access to food and water that they never used to get access to. So I want you to remember that as you go about your day, is that yes, the world is going to shit at any given day, but just think about how fortunate that we actually are to live in modern society and the access of the things that we actually have. Um, we're we're doing okay, and I want you to even pick the most dire situation, other than barring being under some severe dictatorship, where there's still a few that exist today, but other than those particular circumstances, because you can't really, there's not much you can do in those circumstances. But you know, most modern countries, and you look at it and you pick even some of the more impoverished people in that area, they're still doing better than what they used to do. Um, and I want you to sort of think about that we are still doing better. There are parts around the world that are not, progressing as quickly and getting access to the things that we want. And there are dangerous people in this world. And yes, we do have technologies that can destroy everybody all at once, but we're doing okay. And you can't control those things. The only thing that you can do is go around and think about how joyous the world actually is at this moment in your immediate world, and just start appreciating things. Start appreciating the fact that we have not imploded yet. Start appreciating the fact that things did work out in past events. I want you to think about that. I think that at moments in history not long ago, there were scary people doing scary things, and it could have went the opposite direction. And I want us to remember that. We're doing okay. All right. Go out, start having fun, living life. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.